by film.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
Sneaky little hobbitses.
Spider-Man, hero or menace?
Dear Indugo.
Dobby the house elf.
Who holds sway over the 5 points?
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
This is my family.
There's a hole in this cake.
You concur?
I'm a bloody island. I'm bloody Ibiza.
How about new, you crazy Dutch bastard? Let's do this.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone, to a brand new, very special episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. Our 50th episode.
I was wondering, what's so special?
Look at us.
Gosh.
Look at us. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from 2 decades ago while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
And we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. In this episode, we are venturing into the alien invasion / suspense genre, and we'll be re-watching M. Night Shyamalan's Signs. Signs follows Graham Hess, a widowed former reverend who lives on his Pennsylvania farm with his 2 kids and his brother Merrill. The family begins to find mysterious crop circles in their fields, while the rest of the world begins to see strange occurrences, all leading to the conclusion that aliens must be invading our world. Tension mounts as the alien invasion closes in, and the tragic circumstances of Graham's wife's death begin to become more and more prescient. I always think I pronounced that wrong, but that's right.
It's good.
Good enough. The film is written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan and stars Mel Gibson as Graham, Joaquin Phoenix as Merrill, Rory Culkin and Abigail Breslin as the Hess children, and Cherry Jones.
Crop science first emerged in the late 70s with renewed interest in extraterrestrial life. They died out by the early 80s, dismissed as hoaxes. This new resurgence is wholly different. The speed and the quantity in which it has appeared implies the coordination of hundreds of individuals over many countries. There are only a limited number of explanations. Either this is one of the most elaborate hoaxes ever created, or basically, it's for real.
Our first segment, as always, is Drinking Buddies.
Come on, not my beer.
Where we present the 4 beers we will be drinking while rewatching our subject film. Tim will be walking us through our 4 buddies. Unfortunately, no Strange Brew this week. So take it away, Tim.
Alrighty, we've got from WeldWorks out of Greeley, Colorado.
Yep.
Their Mangorindo, which you go, what is that? I'll tell you. It is a sour ale with...
Let me tell you, kids.
Let me follow that up with the details. It's a sour ale with mango, tamarind, and lime purees and natural flavors. I always love when they like
the
list
natural flavors.
the 3 things and then go, and just natural flavors. So
yeah.
There we are. And we're going to follow that up with Half Acre out of Chicago, Illinois. Their Cosmic Ranch Pale Ale.
We'll call that a theme beer.
Oh, I like that.
Cosmic.
Yeah.
Right? There
exactly.
you go. And a ranch.
A ranch? They want like a farm?
Close. Farm.
Oh.
Call that a theme beer.
We will. I am all in on that.
Yeah. I got another one later.
And then teaser. And then we have Black Stack out of Minneapolis. Where's it? St. Paul? I think it's Minneapolis.
St. Paul.
St. Paul. Yes, it is.
You'll get there.
Yeah. One of the 2. It's their Is West Coast IPA okay? Their Simcoe Mosaic and Strata hops. And I must say, I wanted to get it because I have written them off as just a rinse and repeat for anything with double, triple hopped, dry hop, all these things that are just the same thing with some snarky title.
Yeah. If you pour that and it's hazy, I'm going to throw it across the room.
I was like,
you bastard!
God,
I trusted you.
So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see if they can just do a nice old West Coast. And then Portage Brewing out of northern Minnesota. I forget exactly where, but
that works.
Walker, Minnesota.
Northern.
Yeah. Their Ooey Gooey S'more Pastry Stout with marshmallow, cacao nibs, vanilla beans, and graham crackers. And, it's getting end of summer. Feels like a nice little s'more pastry salad. I'm excited to see how it goes.
I mean, if Oktoberfest and pumpkin spice are being released, I guess you can
yes,
crack into the stouts at this point.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you. That leads us into our next segment, which is the social network.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
Where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 20 years ago. Tim takes point on this research. And so, Tim, please take it away.
All right. The IMDb rating, 6.8 out of 10, which I guess I thought
it would be a little bit higher.
Yeah. That's a little bit low, but I guess I haven't seen it in a long time.
Maybe
so
Gibson brought it down in the last 5 or 6 years.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually.
And not like Joaquin is necessarily the most loved person either. So
after
maybe that's why.
Insanity 10 years ago. I can see that. Mike Clark of USA Today said Shyamalan's by now trademark spookiness is starting to play like a CD consciously designed to duplicate the success of an album that sold 10 million copies. And for the young people in the audience, a CD is a compact disc.
Yeah. We don't have anyone young listening to us, but I appreciate that joke.
Right? Yeah. Felt pretty good. Suzanne Stark of Detroit News said Signs is a complex story told with assurance and performed with quiet conviction. It smoothly and stylishly blends scares and substance. And Big Man Raj, care to guess what he gave it?
I think it's 4.
4 out of 4.
Yeah.
I was somewhat surprised.
Only because you asked me, you know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah.
I guess it did kind of tee it up.
Yeah.
But yes, 4 out of 4 said, in a time when Hollywood mistakes volume for action, director Shyamalan makes quiet films. There is as little plot as possible and as much time and depth for the characters as he can create, all surrounded by ominous dread. The possibility of aliens is the catalyst for fear, but following a tragedy, this family in peril needs none. So it was kind of a mix overall with them, but those are kind of the standouts. And then Academy Awards that year, it was up for nothing.
Yeah. Which is
not surprising.
Kind of not surprising, but I do remember that about, like, people were feeling like this shtick is getting old, which is so dumb because, like, history has been riddled with people who have done suspense movies only like Hitchcock.
Yes.
Or horror movies only like John Carpenter, or, like, if that's your lane, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
If you like it, you know. And I remember also thinking that about Signs, and so it'd be interesting to kind of, it's been a while since I've watched it, and so it'd be kind of interesting to see if that feels the same as it did back then.
I've always been fascinated by the thing that, like, Wes Anderson, for example, he has a style and he doesn't deviate.
Oh my God, yeah.
And that's his shtick.
Yeah.
And that's always seen as like a positive trait. But then when Shyamalan always has a twist, and you're looking for it, it does become this thing where people start thinking, oh, well, that's kind of a crutch. And I'm like, so how is it okay? Anyway, we could talk about that longer. But
we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. All right, well, I guess that takes us to the good part. So, where we get to enjoy the beers and rewatch the movie. As usual, we have a point of no return here. So, full warning that spoilers will be coming ahead. And we've already talked about twist endings, although this one doesn't necessarily have one. But there are spoilers ahead. It's an M. Night Shyamalan film. So, if you haven't watched it and you don't want to know, keep listening, or skip ahead to our Drinking Buddies segment later and come back. Give us a like and follow and come back. With that said, please enjoy 2002's Signs.
It's time for an ass whooping.
This is not an intelligent way to approach this. Lee is a friend of mine. This is his son.
Yeah, well, be doing me a favor. All right, listen. We both go outside, move around the house in opposite directions. We act crazy, insane with anger, make them crap in their pants, force them around till we meet up on the other side.
Explain that crazy.
You know, curse and stuff.
Want me to curse?
You don't mean it. It's just for show. What?
Well, it won't be convincing. It doesn't sound natural when I curse.
Just make noises then.
Explain noises.
Are you gonna do this or what?
No, I'm not.
All right, you want them stealing something in the house next time? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ah! I'm insane with anger! We're gonna beat your ass, bitch! We're gonna tear your head off! I'm losing my mind! It's time for an ass whooping!
I heard.
All right, so welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers, where we have just finished rewatching Signs and also have mostly enjoyed 4 new beers that we will review in a segment coming up. So as usual, we jump right into our reaction segment. We are actually changing some things up a bit.
Record scratch.
Dun, dun, dun. And this segment will no longer be called High Fidelity. I wish I could say that it was because we have gotten like so huge that the studio filed a cease and desist, you know, against us. But alas, not the case. We will be running some special video top 5 segments starting next week, and it made more sense to call that the High Fidelity segment because, of course, top 5. So our reaction segment will now be called Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen.
Ooh. Well played.
Duh, right?
Yes. Duh. What are those? That's
so
really
Spotlight,
good.
where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching the film. Do you have some spotlights you want to go through?
I only have one. No, just kidding.
Yeah, this is garbage.
Spotlight. No, I think, yes, I have a few thoughts here.
Well, I assume you'll start with one.
Yes. So I haven't seen this in probably 15 years.
Sure, yeah, yep.
At the very least. Like,
I mean, in full, probably same with, I mean, you know me, I just put it on or something like that.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's been a while.
But to sit down and watch it in full, you're exactly right. And my clarification, like I mentioned all the time in so many of our podcasts, is after being married for quite some time and having 2 kids, the movie hits so different than when seeing it the first time, man.
Yeah, it's
Holy
like,
cow.
whenever I wish my wife dead, do I really wish my wife dead after watching this movie? No, I guess.
No, just the reaction, like the last half hour, I was like, oh, I should have had Kleenex out here. And the kids in peril.
Yeah.
God. Anyway, but no, first thing is, I really love the choice of this remaining on a localized level.
Yeah.
Of just really focusing on the family grappling with this impending invasion.
Yeah.
And so many films, good and bad, it's obviously the style or genre, whatever you're looking at, focus on the, like, either like the militaristic reaction or like a global sense or whatever, like the scale, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
And that's good for that type of thing.
Sure.
Like,
yeah, we'll talk about it in High Fidelity for sure.
I just say it totally works putting you in this situation of what could it feel like in, and maybe it's different actually watching it after the pandemic or the later time of whatever this new world is. But, you know, something so foreign and you start to like watch TV and be like, oh my God, this is going to be we're watching history happen.
Yeah.
In the sense of what's happening. I don't know what to do. And anyway, I just thought it hit me different now than obviously when I first saw it 20 years ago, but also in the last few years from that of just what could it feel like on a small localized level. And it's way better than I remember it, man. I loved it way more than I used to.
Yeah, I think we connect to it differently for sure.
Sure.
My first takeaway really was what a solid building of tension that like this it doesn't, and we mentioned it a little bit earlier is that I remember when reviews came out we had seen this and it was comparing it to what came before, and we both loved Unbreakable, although a lot of people didn't at the time, but we loved Unbreakable.
Loved it,
and then of course Sixth Sense is the Sixth Sense. And like there did sort of be this sort of, oh really, you're gonna have another sort of twist ending and another, so that is the problem with Shyamalan is like you're expecting a twist, and if it doesn't deliver, then it sort of ruins the rest of the movie. And that's not to say that this doesn't do that this time, but I do remember that at the time, and like watching it now, boy, it layers after layer after layer, and nothing is. It's a very lean film,
totally,
you know, and so I like without like the tension, without showing aliens, which is a la obviously like Jaws and things like that.
Yes.
Also, Shyamalan hated CGI at the time.
Yeah.
Just showing the way like the pets first react, They all go a little nutty. The use of sounds is really good. The sound design is outstanding.
Yes.
Creating suspense through the baby monitor. It all turns, and then it turns out to be real. You know, it's not just crazy, like it's real. All with a very minimalist score backing it. Very minimalist, actually. So we just get a very natural feeling that something is wrong, and then like adding a good amount of humor, which like breaks up the tension, and then all of a sudden something else pops in, and you're like, you ratchet back up because you're like, oh, I'm feeling good right now. It's funny. Ha ha ha. No, no. It just sort of just keeps piling on. So more so than either of the two movies before, because they're not, because Sixth Sense and Unbreakable are not this type of movie.
Very
like
true.
They're not suspenseful movies.
No.
Like Sixth Sense is really more of a drama, a supernatural drama.
Yes.
Unbreakable is a little suspenseful, but it's more of a comic book movie, like an updated comic book movie.
Yes.
This is his first, to me, like really suspenseful movie, and it just ratchets up one after the It's old school.
Totally.
Because I can't think of, the only other example I have around this time is obviously Panic Room that we talked about last year.
Yes.
It's just the very minimal building of tension on top of it, and it's just perfection.
Well, and to compare it to Panic Room, not necessarily 1-to-1, but in the sense of...
No, they're not even, but yeah.
But what I love about, like, we're going to have a very condensed story with few characters.
Yeah.
Like maybe half a dozen, if that.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're going to focus on. And what stood out to me, too, was, yes, that thing of the slow build of tension is fantastic. And one of those little details is somewhat similar to Panic Room of, oh, the son's got an inhaler.
Yeah, some sort of child in peril thing. Yep.
This will not go well.
Although, even with Panic Room, we kind of knew that would come into play. It really didn't ever project in this movie that you're like, oh, he's going to have an asthma attack because of poisonous gas or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing about this that maybe differs is you don't even realize about event. Like, it's just sort of a character thing about him until the end.
Yes.
Right.
When it has to be that tension.
But you knew
aspect.
something with her in Panic Room was like going to come back. And he's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, you'll be
But
lost in a room. Yes. I totally agree. The details that he puts together and just the slow build of tiny details. Yes. The monitor, especially when his brother, as they're getting out of the car, and to that point had been on Graham's side as far as this isn't happening. We shouldn't be worried about it. When he tries to move and he says, you'll lose the signal.
You'll lose the signal.
And you can feel the shift of like, okay, something is changing.
Yep.
Where now he's invested in this.
Yep.
And as it moves along, you're right. I love the piece where now Graham, or not Graham, but Meryl's in the closet. Watching this footage and trying to protect the kids from it. And I remember in the theater that kind of bait and switch of you see the alien in the footage from wherever it was
Mexico,
on TV.
I assume, or whatever. Yep.
And it's interesting, but not really jarring. It's just more like, oh, this is real. And you kind of expect it as you're like watching a movie. But then when Graham goes to the vet,
oh yeah,
and he's got him locked. He got one locked in his pantry.
The pantry. Yep.
And that quick scene of he puts his head down to see after he's trying to see it, and he can't see it, and the hand pops out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the theater jumping because it was so like a Jaws thing where jumping out of the water.
Yeah.
Where now it's real and it's right there, and oh god, now we got to take this seriously. So I totally agree. That first hour, we actually like went up to get another beer and said, "There's been so much happening in an hour." And it's an hour and 40 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that last half hour just ratchets up.
Yeah.
As they start to defend the house, buckle down, and the little pieces that come out as they start to layer, it just, it's the tension and the release. It's really, 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 really fantastic. So I'm just building off of that. The tension was just a slow burn.
Yep.
And I really appreciate it. Because I agree, The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable are very different vibes. Mm-hmm. There's not a tension, it's just a intrigue, like, what's this about? Like,
and it's been a while since I saw Sixth Sense, but it's not a suspense movie.
No.
It's not a horror movie either, which I think is technically classified as.
Yes.
It's a drama.
I agree. And Unbreakable was kind of a bait and switch, but I agree. The twist is not a twist.
No.
And it had been, I think,
it's a reveal.
Yes. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we've been building up to this, and how does this tie together? Oh, it's a great reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yeah, that was my thing too, was the slow build of tension is just really, really good.
So I think, if I may,
please do.
This is a great example of, we saw this with Road to Perdition. The boy, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the guy who plays Michael Sullivan Jr.
Yep. Yeah.
He's good in that movie.
Yeah.
He's not great, but he's good enough.
Yep.
And to me, at least, and maybe hopefully you'll agree with this because I'm usually right. It's just like
it's a good setup. Go on.
Movies with kids rely more on the kids than we realize, right? Like,
yeah.
I think we're forgiving kids for not being great actors because they're kids. They're not necessarily great actors. But speaking of Sixth Sense, like when we find a movie with great kid actors, and I think this is a great example of a movie that has, at the bare minimum, has good child actors.
Yes. It's
just a step above movies that have meh actors.
Yes.
And my example for this is one of my favorite movies of the 90s, and I'm not saying it's one of the best, but one of my favorites is A Bronx Tale. And the biggest flaw in that, and I know you haven't seen it, but the biggest flaw in that is the child actors, right? They're not good. Because Chaz Palminteri and Robert De Niro, hello, they're gonna be good, right?
Yeah.
But in those sense, like, Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix are gonna be good in this.
Absolutely.
So it's reliant upon those kids, and that's a lot of pressure to put on them.
Yes.
So Abigail Breslin, this is her first movie role.
Yes.
Outstanding.
So good.
I mean, she's like, oh, she's not natural or whatever, but so freaking good.
Yes.
Especially at the end.
Yes.
And Rory Culkin is so good in this. Like, these kids are so great. And it takes if they had bad actors in there, it still would have been good, but that would have pulled you away from it a little bit.
Yes.
But these two just make this movie so much better. And it's a great example of a movie with child actors. That doesn't mean it's going to be a bad movie. Like, again, I love Bronx Tale, but Jurassic Park even.
Yes.
Like, Tim and Lex are good, but they're good enough. They're not great in that movie.
Yeah.
But they're good enough. They're great. And I think that brings it to another level.
And I think you give a bit of a benefit of the doubt in many ways, where if they are maybe more stiff or not bad, but just kind of acting.
Somebody give me the line. I'm getting the line. There's not a lot of emotion behind it.
But it's 6 months after their mom died.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where I think about and that's where I feel like there's a bit more latitude given and grace as far as, yes, I think they're really good. I really do think they are. Like, she captures that age really well, and he's a good older brother as he's trying to figure out the world coming apart type of thing.
I think he's good at the beginning, but he becomes great towards the end.
Yes.
Like, it does. Yes. He's okay at the beginning. You're like, he's good enough. But then his emotion comes out later.
But that's where I think some of the challenge tied to that I would think about when I watch Shyamalan movies is he gets good performances, but sometimes they do feel wooden.
Sure.
Like, I think of Unbreakable, it's very stoic and quiet as it kind of lays out. This works in the sense of they're dealing with the grief of her loss.
Probably is,
and
that's arguably the central storyline.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And so I always remember watching this being like, okay, it feels stiff at times, and the dialogue, while sparse, is really well done, can feel wooden. But I agree. The kids, whatever type of criticism is out there, if there was for them, I feel like
I don't think there was.
No,
yeah,
but they're good.
Yeah,
they're really good. Yes. To that point, about the dialogue you talked about before, I really appreciate Shyamalan's sparse dialogue.
Yeah.
He does a phenomenal job of so much with so little. He can use, and I haven't seen this other ones in quite some time, but
sorry, I was like, I've been told that about myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much for so little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can refer to it as the Shyamalan.
Yeah. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shama's short,
M.
not
Night.
Shama long.
Oh, God.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
And tangent back. I love his really strong focus on, like, the camera pans.
Oh my gosh!
And the
whether
glances.
that was him or is it Tak
Fujimoto?
Fujimoto? What?
Yeah.
the combination of the two of them,
Yes.
I agree completely.
are so incredible with the placement of the camera and, on the stairs at one time where he sits down and the placement is right between these two slats.
Yep.
And that's where they're sitting. Or they're watching the TV and the two kids on the side and the brothers in the back. Just what he's able to do with framing a scene is great. But to that point, I forgot how funny he can be with his dialogue.
Yes.
Like the simple thing of when the brothers are going to go out thinking we're going to act crazy and scare off these intruders.
It's time for an ass whooping.
And Mel Gibson's character, Graham, is like, I can't curse.
I can't curse.
It's not,
sounds weird.
It's
when I
not genuine.
curse. Yeah.
Like, hey, buddy, what are you doing here, man? Like, let's do that. And then the scene in the pharmacy when she's trying to confess and she's like, oh no, it's not 37 swears, it's 71.
It's
like
71
just
of the
these,
D-bag.
and the guy like steps out behind. It just, you
shout
appreciate
out to Emmy winner Merritt Weaver.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Good for her.
We watched like, oh my gosh, she's in so much good stuff.
Yep.
I think that's really a good standout for him is that he can balance some of that tension building as you're going through the beginning with these moments where it just doesn't feel like forced in many ways, where it's normal dialogue, especially like the one with the Olympic, like excluding Olympic Scandinavian high jumpers.
Excluding the possibility that a female Scandinavian Olympian was running around outside our house last night, what else might be a possibility?
In the area, what else may be a possibility? Like, it's just
it was constant.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So I
constant
love that.
humor.
His dialogue is really, really focused and sparse, which I like.
Yeah, which is very unfortunately with Shyamalan. It's been hit or miss on some of those since. I would argue since The Village,
Absolutely,
it's been hit or miss.
Yes,
but I agree. I feel like at one again, I think I mentioned it earlier. It was just like at one point you're sort of like suspense, and then there's funny, and then it's sort of normal, and then it's suspense, and then it's funny. It's relatable. Like, it's really well done.
Yes.
Yeah, we laughed many times along the way.
Oh, yeah, we were laughing a lot.
So, yeah, I think along those lines is just to say, like, what I think Ebert talked about it, which was the story is simple.
Yes.
And it's meant to be simple.
Yep.
And I think maybe, but then I think about Shyamalan as a whole and I go, does he have a lot of not simple stories? Maybe that's his MO, where he, like, he has grand, like, themes, but in small stories.
Yes.
Like, and so, like, there is this big global event happening, and presumably the world is falling apart, but we all see, like, we only see this small broken family going through it. And it's just enough backstory to understand why the final reveal is so powerful. Like, it's we can't say anything about any character in this beyond what is given to us here.
Yep.
Right. And so, but then I think about Sixth Sense, and I think of the same way. Like, we are given enough to do that. Unbreakable, definitely The Village, until the reveal at the end.
Yes.
And maybe that's Shyamalan's MO when you start to think about it, is maybe it's not these grand, big worlds of suspense. Maybe it's like people hanging out in a room somewhere, but outside, right? Which is why, like, movies like 10 Cloverfield Lane are so good, because, like, outside, all the bad stuff's happening, but inside, there's some pretty weird s going on here too. So, that is something I thought about as well, like, coming off of yours, is the simplicity of it actually benefits it.
Yes.
And at the time, I remember thinking I didn't like it.
I agree.
I liked this movie when it came out.
Yes.
But just going, like, it felt small. And boy, the use of, when, I can't remember Rory Culkin's name in the movie.
I forget either.
But it doesn't matter. But when he's going his asthma attack at the end, predominantly you actually see Joaquin Phoenix and Abigail Breslin's reaction to it.
Yes.
And other scenes too. You see the reactions, not the action.
Yes.
And really interesting use of that kind of stuff. Very simple.
Yes.
And I think very powerful.
I wrote down to that point, yes, I think Shyamalan gets a lot of crap for his twists.
Yeah.
And what started to be a calling card became somewhat a, crutch.
Sure.
Good or bad. But I think he actually, seeing this, I agree. When I first saw it, I know I expected more because it was under the guise of a alien invasion type of movie.
Right. And then you think like M. Night Shyamalan's doing an alien movie?
gosh.
Oh my God.
Wow. But you're waiting for the twist. And once you know, I like how you call it the reveal, once you know that, you can just appreciate what he's going for. I think he deserves a lot more credit for hiding really complicated and compelling situations in a seemingly straightforward story. Like you talk about, the inability to move on from something traumatic in Sixth Sense. Both the boy and Bruce Willis's character grappling.
He's dead at the end, folks.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
He's dead.
He's dead. Watch it. It's been 25 years.
Grappling with finding a bigger purpose, and how do you handle the weight of something that you find yourself thrust upon
and
unbreakable.
Yep.
People hiding from society's perils that have harmed them in many ways in the village. And then this,
a masterpiece, by the way, which we will discuss in 2 years as long as we're around.
Yes.
But anyway.
A masterpiece, absolutely. His best one, in my opinion.
Ooh.
This is probably a close second, I would say, because I was surprised. Like, hiding a crisis of faith in the face of imaginable loss.
We haven't talked about this yet, but the faith part of this is surprisingly there.
And I remember watching it being like, I don't know that I expected this.
Yeah, we know where Mel Gibson is on faith, but we didn't know at that time.
Yes.
But
Okay. But watching it now, and you think about, how M. Night is so good at hiding really complex, things you need to grapple with in a different type of genre or story that I don't know that I could have appreciated watching them younger. Now I look back and think, oh yeah, he was swinging for the fences in some of these with, it's just a story, but no, it's actually a much deeper one. I love this one way more than I did before. And I would say I will watch this again and again.
Yeah, I would watch this with somebody like tomorrow and be like, it wouldn't be.
Yes.
It wouldn't ruin it for me.
Yes. So I agree to that point of he does a lot with not just the dialogue, but hiding the real true story of what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
And he unfortunately has it just done with these twists and reveals, which is great in some ways. But now knowing what we know, this is way better than I expected it to be.
Yeah. And it reminds us too that, I mentioned him earlier, but Hitchcock is the closest comparison probably to in a what we're experiencing standpoint.
Yeah.
And I have not watched all of the more recent Shyamalan films, but I think people have forgotten or glossed over that Hitchcock had some stinkers along the way. Some really bad movies.
Yes.
Really great little movies too. So like we've talked off, air, I guess, about Split and some of these other ones that were sort of unexpectedly great from Shyamalan. And Hitchcock had some of those. Like I love Rope from Hitchcock. I know you haven't watched it, but really good, nuanced films. But he had some crappy movies too.
Yeah.
That we sort of forget about. And so, Shyamalan had The Happening, which we don't talk about. And After Earth and some of these other ones that you're like, these just aren't good. But he's also had some really great films.
Yes.
And so at what point do we start to understand, is it another 20 years? Like, does he need a couple more movies now to really cement his status as like this generation's Hitchcock? Like,
could be.
Because, you loved Split and Glass.
Yes.
And some people really liked Old. Not everyone did, but there was like, The Visit, the one with that horror film with like the kids going to their grandparents.
Oh yeah, that was supposed to be good.
That was also, I have not watched it. So a lot of his last few movies have not been, but they've been suddenly, he's had this little resurgence or whatever, and does he need one more sort of like Oscar nominated style film?
Yeah.
What does he need to do? Because the comparisons are there. And this movie too is very Hitchcockian. It's very to the point where I think James Newton Howard, when he made this score, he purposely brought out Psycho. He purposely brought out some of these like old school norms. The title cards at the beginning, like they go old school for sure. So I mean, at what point?
Well, I mean, he hit the jackpot with his first movie.
He's a great example. I think we talked about with Sam Mendes with American Beauty.
Like your first movie.
This is your first movie out the gate.
Yes.
Come on.
You're up for Best Picture. Like,
and it made 600 million worldwide or whatever. Come on.
And it was deservedly well received. Like it should have been regarded. But yeah, I agree. Like there's such a tarnish to him. And that's unfortunate. Like
I agree.
When you have such a solid start of 3-4 films.
Yeah.
And then just, not everybody can be Spielberg, where pretty much everyone's a guaranteed win.
Yeah.
But I do feel like he's started to come back to being held in better regard. Like I said, Split
the last
and Glass
few years,
were great.
Yeah. Yep.
Really, really good. So I just need to talk about the dinner scene.
Yep.
Of them grappling with, the possible end of the world for them is incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Like the grief from the mom dying, coupled with the tension and terror that you would feel as a parent, with that impending doom, watching your kids like having to see like they may die tonight. It just is unreal at him. And then when he snaps at the kids, especially when we talk about crisis of faith, and he's like, "I will not spend one more second on prayer."
On prayer. Yep.
That is really jarring.
Yeah.
To watch it and feel like this.
And you're saying that to your kids.
Yes. This visceral honesty.
Yeah.
To what your kids have experienced. And with your brother there, who's asking early in the film to kind of be like, consoled, and given comfort. And he's like, I have no time for this. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yep.
I love that scene. And it's just a really great switch of him to then when he goes down to the basement and says like, well, I'm not ready. Like you could tell, I didn't realize it, but now I was like, oh, prior to this, he was not invested in like survival.
No, he had no interest in, he wanted his kids to survive, but he would have been fine dying at that point.
But it's probably in the sense of my brother who's been here, like here, I'll die so my kids can survive, but he'll help protect them type of thing. So that scene and then what comes after, I still remember it, but still, he and Mel Gibson, again, we not to comment on anything outside of a movie, whatever it is, like we are, he's really good in this.
Yep.
Really good with that crisis of faith and his focus. And I just had to call out the dinner scene is just ridiculously good.
What's the matter with everyone? Eat.
Maybe we should say a prayer.
No.
Why not?
We're not saying a prayer.
Bo has a bad feeling. I had a dream.
We aren't saying a prayer. Eat.
I hate you.
That's fine.
You let Mom die.
Morgan. I am not wasting one more minute of my life on prayer. Not one more minute. Understood? Now we are going to enjoy this meal. No one can stop us from enjoying this meal, so enjoy it! Stop crying!
Graham.
Don't yell at her!
All right. Since you're all not going to eat, I'm going to try some of everything.
Right. So I have two final points, and they both tie into what you just said, but I also add that, of course, protect the younger brother. Come on.
Absolutely.
The younger brothers have to be protected. That's damn right.
Yes.
I actually have three scenes in this that I don't want to say constantly, but I think about a lot. The couch scene where they're discussing like, what are you? Are you the first group or the second group? And are there coincidences or not?
Yes.
The dinner scene, of course, and then the basement scene when they are in the cellar or whatever. And like the entire scene, everything about the half of it being in the dark. That moment you talk about of him like not being ready.
Yes.
But in particular, the dinner scene, it is sort of this breakdown of he has been trying to, for the first part of the movie, he's a denier. He's like, this is not happening.
Yep.
Starts to accept it, but he's protective. And now he's fear. This is the dinner scene is the first time you really kind of understand he is afraid of what's happening.
Especially when he acknowledges the next morning to his brother, he didn't expect to.
No, he thought they would. Yeah, yep, absolutely.
So I sorry to interrupt, but like I think his frustration comes through of like, eat this meal that I prepared for all of you, because he doesn't want to call it out, but this might be the last one. And we asked about this, and you're gonna fight this. Like anyway, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine. And I will say, like, we've realized recently with LA Confidential and this, and we talked about this with We Were Soldiers and stuff like that. It does suck when someone you once really loved does some stupid shit later in life that kind of like, to the point where like everyone likes this, or like a lot of people like this movie, and you just talk about it, and then you get to the point of Mel Gibson and you go like, yeah, okay. But he is outstanding in this movie. You cannot argue. We talked about this with Kevin Spacey. You can argue the person, but you cannot argue the performance. And the performance is outstanding in this. He's great. Actually, everyone's great in this.
Everyone's
but
really
he
good.
is the crux of this, and he is so good.
Yes.
So those are my last 2 points as well.
I like it. That's what I got.
That's what you got?
Yep.
Cool. Perfect. All right. Well, we are then excited to announce a brand new segment that we are calling The Verdict.
I'm going up there. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let the jury decide.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after watching the film, and in the event we have a huge argument, there will be no rebuttals. No, but we just will give our ratings. Does it stand up? I'm going out of 5 if you have a rating out of 5 if you want to do that. But Tim, do you want to go first on your final verdict and rating, or do you want me to go?
This is a 5 for me.
5 out of 5?
Sorry. 4.5.
Okay, all right.
It's 4.5.
Like out of the gates?
Yeah. Ooh.
Pew, pew, pew.
In terms of, I did not expect to really love this as much as I did.
Interesting.
And coming into it, I was excited to see it again. But having not seen it in so long, I had low expectations. And this may very well be. And I think The Village is Shyamalan's best film.
Interesting.
Not my personal favorite.
Yeah.
But his best in terms of his style coming together. This is a close second. So probably The Village for me is 5. Masterpiece.
Wow.
This is, I think, better than Unbreakable and Sixth Sense.
Wow, hot take.
Yeah, I think it is such a better film than I expected with The Crisis of Faith under the guise of this sci-fi story. I would recommend this to everybody. It's so good.
So it holds up, is what you're saying.
Even more so. It's better than I expected.
Yeah.
And way better than I first saw it.
Yeah.
Now, it's, yeah. And I think when I was like 22 or whatever, it was like, oh, it's a movie. Oh, it's so much deeper than I would have thought. So, yeah, it's a 4.5 for me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I have a 4 out of 5 if I had to throw a rating on it, but that doesn't mean it's bad by any means.
Yeah.
Of course, 4 to 5.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, I graduated with 80%, so it's, there we go. In the end, I would say Signs comes in as arguably the best film of his first 3.
Yes. Yep.
You could make a case for any of the 3, which I would say is what's more impressive.
Yes.
But that, I think Signs has aged really well.
Yep.
Has gotten better over time.
Yep.
And simple in the best sense of the word, yet really suspenseful and beautiful. Very well shot.
Yes.
Lots of emotion, even to the point of tears. Lots of humor and a great amount of tension. Yeah, I have 4 out of 5, and it definitely holds up. It is absolutely, final verdict is go see it. Find it.
Yes.
I think one of the best things about Shyamalan is that you don't, with obviously 2 exceptions, you don't need to watch movies that have been released before that.
Totally.
So absolutely go see it.
Yep.
All right. So our next segment then is Drinking Buddies, the sequel.
Let's get weird.
Where we review the beers that we had while rewatching the film and give our ratings out of 5 stars. Tim will walk us back through them. And so the floor is yours.
The first one we had was the option out of WeldWorks Brewing, the Mangarindo, which is like a luchador or whatever.
Yeah, it's got like a lucha guy on it. Yeah.
Yeah. It is again, sour ale with mango, tamarind, and lime purees. It was a 3.75.
Okay.
For me. I like the sour. I don't know if it's the tamarind or what that exactly is, but it had like a soapy type of vibe to me. Like it was good. It just at times I was like, I could see this like taking a bite out of it at like a bar of soap. Of like, the mango and lime and everything. It was good. I liked it.
Did you brush your teeth before we did this?
No, I don't. Yeah, that's the thing you should do. Anyway, no, I did not. It's good though. I really did like it. It just at times I was like, kind of tastes soapy. But
interesting.
Yeah,
this might be one of our widest margins, which is still 0.5 apart from each other, because typically we do,
Yeah,
but I have a 4.25. I think this is an example of initially very tart, almost to a detriment to it. Really,
Sure.
oh, this is almost like what?
Yep.
And I don't know if it's the lime or whatever was in it, but I feel like, I mean, we have in the last few episodes or whatever, we've had many beers that we did not finish a 16 ouncer, and both of us finished it. So right there,
Oh, yeah.
like,
Yep.
it's totally drinkable. You can finish a full 16 ouncer. So I had a 4.25 because I feel like it got better over time.
It did.
Like, it just sort of was like, what's wrong? You know, not what's wrong with this, but it's like, I don't know if I like this or not. And then it just got better. So I have a 4.25.
I agree. And then we had out of Half Acre Brewing out of Chicago.
This is our theme beer. And can I tell you my other theme beer real quick, by the way?
Yes.
So it was Fair State has a beer that's a hoppy or a dry hopped Pilsner.
Okay.
Which is the title of it. And after watching it, I was like, dang it, I should have gotten it. The title of it is Thank You for Not Discussing the Outside World.
Oh, that's
like,
the new one.
Oh my God. That would have been perfect.
That would have been so perfect.
It would have been like a deep cut.
Yes.
Anyway, I mean, but I did spend more money on this 4-pack, so I'll go ahead and take that hit. Anyway, continue.
They're Cosmic Ranch Pale Ale. It was a 3.75 for me. It was nice. Pale ales are fine styles. Not good or bad, but kind of hoppy.
Yeah, I've never had a 4.5 or 4.75 pale ale.
One that stands out. No,
Right.
It was good. It was a nice. They don't have the hops listed, but it was good. It was fine.
I have a 4 out of 5. Very solid pale ale. It's got more flavor than a lot of pale ales do. I really like Half Acre.
Yep.
They have some, and the problem with Half Acre and other breweries is when they release, they're kind of like, they don't always release their best stuff, but Half Acre's got some good stuff. So I had a 4 out of 5.
And then we had Black Stack out of St. Paul, established earlier in the pod.
Yes, yeah.
There is West Coast IPA OK, which the label, for those that don't know, looks like a Pepsi icon, which you hey, there we go.
There you
go. It's like, it's not Coke, but it's a Pepsi is okay.
Yeah, is it okay?
I looked on Untapped as we were drinking it.
Yeah.
To see if it had any indication of being one of these goddamn cold IPAs.
Sure.
And it doesn't indicate as such. I feel like it is.
Sure.
And they're not advertising it as such. It was a 3 for me. When I expect a West Coast IPA, I want some, like, I think of Stone IPA.
Sure.
Or Big Doinks.
Literally any other West Coast
Like,
IPA.
Hoppy and bitter. And not like you have to fight it, but it's got it was super clear.
Yeah.
When we poured it, we both looked at it like, this is like a Pilsner.
And it had no, like, sort of, I don't know if it's tan or brown color to it.
Golden
it was
hue.
like yellowish.
Yes. It looked like a Miller Lite. I was super disappointed. So yeah, for me it was a 3 because it was fine. I didn't finish it. And I had no indication of doing or inclination because it was just like, I am kind of disappointed I have to drink 2 more. But it was different than all their usual dry hop stuff. I'll say that. But I was expecting way more than this.
Yeah, I actually, so I started at 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
And I moved it up to a 3.25. Because I had to sort of say, like, okay, my initial reaction was emotional.
Yes.
Let's bring it back.
Sons of bitch.
Yeah, I have a 3.25. Is it okay? Yes.
Yes.
I think that's the best description of it. It's
Yes.
okay. Did you make a West Coast IPA? A West Coast IPA? No, you freaking did not.
No.
This is not a West Coast IPA. There is This is we've had other hazy IPAs that weren't hazy.
Yes.
Like that's what this is. This is a New England cold IPA that's not hazy.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a discolored West Coast-ish maybe IPA. Like, but as I kept drinking it, the flavor was good enough to boost the profile. Like,
yeah,
I finished mine.
Yeah.
I started at 3 and it was finishable, so I bumped it a quarter and that was it. Which for us is low. 3 to 3.25 is low.
Oh, totally.
This is frustrating. Like Black Stack can make good beers. They seem to refuse to make good beers.
Yes.
Ugh.
Like, who am I to judge them? But also I was like,
you can judge whoever you want.
I got this thinking, I'm going to let you back in the fold.
Yes.
I've written you off.
Yeah.
And I see this. I'm like, I'll give you one more chance.
I said it in the first half. I was like, if I pour this and it's hazy, I mean, it wasn't hazy.
No.
But it was not a West Coast.
Done with them.
Ugh.
Done. And then we're enjoying now. Well, I don't know, enjoying, but we're drinking
we'll
now.
see how.
Portage Brewing Company, their Ooey Gooey S'more Pastry Stout with marshmallow, cacao nibs, vanilla beans, graham crackers. I have a 4.
Sure.
Because it's a solid pastry stout. I have noticed the elements of cacao and vanilla. I don't, however, feel much of the marshmallow and graham cracker.
No.
To me, the s'more aspect of it is not there.
Right.
And I was hoping for more of that, feeling like it is what I want. So it's a great pastry stout, imperial stout, all these kind of vibes to it. Really well done. The graham cracker s'more aspect, not at all.
I have a 3.75 for the exact reason you just said, is it docks you points.
Yep.
There's nothing about it. It's a little bit of a sweet sour. In fact, they'd be better off to barrel age this in some sort of whiskey for another year.
Yeah.
And it would be outstanding.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great base stout, but there's nothing to it that would tell me this is a s'mores.
Nope.
There's nothing. So, like, I can't crap on Black Stack for not being what you said you are and then not knock other breweries for, like, oh,
Yes.
that's actually pretty good. And Portage, they're good dudes. It's fine. It's a good stout, but it's not. It's like, it's okay. So,
Yep. Agreed.
All right, so then our final segment of our episode is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program, 21.
When in our research for the film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you. I do have a couple. We usually do, since in case we cross over or anything like that. Do you want to go first? Or do you have one that you like, oh my God, I love this? Or what do you got?
You can go first. I've got a couple.
All right, so something I did not know while researching was that at $408 million domestic or worldwide, Signs is actually Mel Gibson's highest grossing film worldwide in movies that he's performed.
Wow.
In, like, not obviously Passion of the Christ, made
Sure.
more. So this was his highest grossing film as an actor.
Huh.
I did not know that.
No way.
Care to guess what 1999 film of his ranks second on that list with 374 million worldwide? I gave you the year.
Was that The Patriot?
Nope.
Well, that was 2000.
You blew it!
99.
Yes. A surprisingly good romantic comedy.
Romantic comedy.
Yep.
Oh,
you got it.
What Women Want?
Yes.
There we go.
374 million worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah, that was second.
That's huge.
Lethal Weapon is third worldwide. But anyway, I did not know that. I did not realize. I knew this was like, it made 200 and some million in domestic.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was his number one movie as a performer.
I would not have expected that.
There you go.
Wow. That's good trivia. Joaquin Phoenix was not the original actor chosen to play the brother.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have this?
I have this one. You can go in there.
We'll go
Yeah.
through it. We'll go through motions.
Yeah.
He replaced an actor who had to drop out due to his surprising at the time diagnosis.
Dude,
with
that brain tumor is
brain cancer.
Yeah.
But what actor that was originally going to be in the movie has gone on to earn 3 Oscar supporting acting nominations for Spotlight, Foxcatcher, and The Kids Are All Right.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo.
There you go.
I did not know that, but I
Me
knew the
either.
brain tumor story, but I did not realize
Right?
that's why he had to drop out of this.
I didn't know he was part of
Yeah, he
this.
had like, did you see that he had like a dream about having a brain tumor, and that's
No.
what made him go in to check? He had a dream about having some sort of brain cancer tumor, and so he went to the doctor, and that's how he found it.
That's
And
crazy.
it was benign, but still, it was just like that's how he found it.
Because I remember at the time hearing that he had dropped out of a bunch of movies and was out for a year or
Yeah.
two or some of that because of his like treatments. But
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
He dreamed it. Okay. Well, we crossed over.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
Cross streams. It's been a while, so can you get that light too? By the way.
Yes, I will.
I'm going to go off the box office one still.
Okay.
So although Signs did very well at the global box office in 2002, it finished as 6th overall in that year, behind 4 franchise films: Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets, Star Wars Episode 2, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and Spider-Man, and also behind My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yep.
4 of those 5s are on our podcast channel, so go ahead and find it.
Yep.
Oddly enough, it is not the first time he has had a huge hit be outgrossed by a franchise film. In his first film, The Sixth Sense, grossed well over 600 million worldwide and still found a way to be second to what franchise rebooting film?
Oh my gosh. Franchise rebooting.
Yep.
Film.
In
90 something.
1999, yeah.
99, that's right. What Women Want. No, sorry, I have no idea.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace was number 1 that year.
There it
Sixth
is.
Sense was number 2.
Really? That was the second grossing that year?
Yep.
Wow. I mean,
So
I
there
knew
you
it was
go.
popular, but wow. I had no idea.
Box Office Mojo.
That's good. So this was the second collaboration of director Shyamalan and cinematographer Tak Fujimoto. The first being Sixth Sense.
Mm-hmm.
However, Fujimoto had a long collaborative career with a different director, shooting all of his films, including Married to the Mob,
Mm-hmm.
Beloved, Philadelphia, and Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name that director?
Jonathan Demme.
Yes.
Keep thinking Ted Demme, but yeah,
Yeah.
Jonathan Demme. Yep.
The crazy thing was, he was not up in 91 for
No.
Best Cinematography.
Yeah.
That year that Silence of the Lambs raked up everything.
Yeah.
And that year it was Bugsy, Prince of Tides, Thelma and Louise, Terminator 2, and the winner, JFK. Really?
Yeah. Oh, over Silence of the Lambs? Really?
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 That was...
Yeah.
That's a joke.
All right, so I have one more for you.
Okay.
The first scene shot for this film was the scene where Graham and his wife, he finds out his wife's going to die.
Sure.
Right? And that's the very first scene they shot for this film.
Jeez.
I know, right? And you would think it would be hard for them to get in the moment, since obviously that's a tough scene.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, because filming started on what day in 2001?
Oh, I'm going to guess September 12th.
That is correct. They started the evening
Really?
of September 12th.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess
So
you
they
could
had
tap
a,
into
they had
some
a
strong
candlelight
emotions.
vigil, and they absolutely,
Really?
yeah. Wow. That was the very first day of filming for this movie. Was September 12th of 2001.
Yeah, the most prominent day. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
You probably take a day off for the day.
Surprising they didn't keep going, to be honest, or didn't like take more
Yeah.
time off. But yeah, they started
Wow.
one day after.
Jeez, they could. That's crazy. I had no idea. So I'll get you there, but work with me here.
Of course, yeah.
So composer James Newton Howard, who I love, he scored over 100 films, and he's been nominated for 9 Academy Awards.
Wow.
For his scores and songs.
No wins.
No wins, unfortunately. He collaborated with fellow composer Hans Zimmer on the first 2 Nolan Batman films, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Zimmer won the Academy Award last year for Dune Part 1.
Yeah.
Can you name the 1984 sci-fi film directed by David Lynch, which was James Newton Howard's first composing debut? I got you there, didn't I?
God. Yeah, I guess you got me there,
Yeah.
but that was like a weird...
Right?
I guess... Wow. Oh, man, David Lynch. Is that Blue Velvet back then? Or is that Eraserhead? I don't even know. What is it?
Dune.
That he was nominated for Dune?
No, he wasn't nominated, but that was his film debut.
I didn't realize. I guess I was thinking in Oscars.
Yeah, no,
perspective.
Oscars, but yeah. So he collaborated with Zimmer.
Both.
Zimmer wins for Dune Part 1, and
there you go.
his first
I got you,
debut.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take the hit on that one.
That's a good one. Eraserhead. Wow, that's a deep cut.
All right, so that will bring us to the end of the episode. Stay tuned for our upcoming happy hour on Spirited Away. You'll want to listen.
Yes.
And also coming soon will be other films that we forgot to discuss, so I'll get that out there at some point. Also, the high fidelity segments and other videos from our podcast will be available on our Twitter feed, YouTube channel, and on Facebook, so be sure to head that way for more content. We want to say thank you for taking time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on Twitter at years_beers and on Facebook, or head to 20years4beers.com. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Shama short,
M.
not
Night.
Shama long.
I got you there.
It's time for an ass whooping.
We're gonna beat your ass, bitch! It's time for an ass whooping!
I cursed. I heard.